like that.
So one of the first things that I want to kind of address, because we were talking about streaming last episode, it seems like we've been talking a lot about streaming. Um, but let's go back to Netflix, because Netflix, in and of itself, and you got to understand, they started out as the killer app that killed the video store.
Yeah.
And it wasn't streaming that killed the video store. Oh, no, no, no. It was the mail order DVD and Blu-ray service. Of course, at the time it was just DVD. I want to say they got started in 96, 97. But you'd hop on a computer, you would say what movies you wanted, they mailed it out. The system was a bit archaic back then. Um, but you get the movie. Once you're done with it, you send it back. They'd send you another one in your queue, whatsoever. And they slowly started to phase it out when they introduced streaming, and which was cool because when you initially had your option to rent DVD and Blu-rays, basically when streaming was introduced, it was like a free add-on. Here's some of the content that we have that you can watch for free because you get DVDs and Blu-rays from us monthly. It was a free service that was part of their DVD and Blu-ray rental. And they didn't have original content then, so I can kind of understand where they're coming from with charging eventually. But even then, I always thought it was kind of unfair. And slowly over time, they have been killing their own DVD and Blu-ray service, to the point now that it is officially ending in this September. So if you're not part of DVD.com, which is part of Netflix, into September, it's gone. But what's
Which is kind.
interesting, they
I'm
have.
surprised.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm surprised that they are killing. It's probably too expensive, but considering there are some parts of the United States that they either A, don't have high speed internet, or they don't, yeah, there are spots of the United States, they're still on dial up, and you can't stream anything on dial up, period.
Right.
And therefore, having that option, if you have ability to get online, going to DVD.com and getting those DVDs mailed to you is a great convenience, because that's what, part of one of my arguments is with a lot of folks. It was like, oh, things are too expensive for you. Move closer to your job. There's a lot of folks you don't have that option of, it's when you do that, the costs go up. Meaning, if I have a job and if I get a job in DC, I'm staying here. Things are cheaper here in Dirtyburg. Moving to DC, where rent starts out at maybe $2.5 grand a month,
Right.
it is not going to be any cost efficient. Where milk here is at $3 a gallon at the cheapest spot, there it's probably $4.50. Why do I want to move closer? And yet these folks that are in the western part of the United States, it's especially nowadays at picking up and moving is, with inflation, not a good idea. You're kind of stuck there right now. And having things mailed to you is a good idea. I'm sure there's still a lot of mom and pop DVD rentals out there, but for somebody that is homebound and just able to get out to the mailbox and back is easy for them.
Exactly.
Maybe they're elderly, or they're handicapped in some way, or they don't have public transportation.
And from what I've read, they've weighed the options on that. And I guess either they've decided that people nowadays have way too many of these, and so they figure they can stream the movie through their cell phone service and eat the hell out of their data, which sucks. Or they feel that, hey, yeah, it's a small area, but the general store also provides rentals. There's places up in Alaska that still provide rentals, in places where the internet just tanks. And the thing of it is that we are moving closer to where internet's going to be more accessible to people, because as you may or may not know, the old analog TV signal that used to run all of the channels back in the day, can't UHF and what was it, VHF?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I think UHF is more popular because of not just Weird Al's movie, but it's more pop culture ingrained.
but
And
they're getting rid of that signal, and they're going to use that signal to provide wireless internet to the rest of the world that don't have easy access. Because even in those places that don't have the best or the greatest, they could at least throw up a antenna and catch something digitally that way. And that's kind of like their line of thinking at the moment. Um, Personally, now they've got a lot of people off of the old analog channel. Makes me want to make a pirate analog station just for fun. But the kicker of it is that they weighed it and they're like, hey, yeah, this isn't a large percentage of our market. We're going to basically consider it a wash. Which to a degree is unfair if you live in those areas, which I 100% agree with. But from a business aspect, if we're already making very little money off of the DVD and Blu-ray service as is, and we're planning on killing it because it costs us more to keep it than to run it. I mean, basically, from what I've been reading, it's not so much that it's costing them, but they're consistently not well in the black, but they're not in the red either. They're break even. They're at that break even point where they're not making anything on it. And it's vestigial at best to them from a business aspect. And it sucks. But there are other people that have taken up that niche, be it Redbox, even though I've seen less and less Red boxes lately. Like I went into Walmart recently and the red boxes that were there are gone. I noticed when I went to, because I live in Chambersburg, the Chambersburg Walmart gone, the Shippensburg Walmart no red box, and then when I went into Carlisle, same thing, and I'm like, where are all the red boxes?
I know there's a red box by a Family Dollar near me, but beyond that, I haven't checked the Walmart that I normally go to.
Okay,
But
you'll have to give it a look. Because I haven't
I'd
seen
have to
them
give it a
in
look.
Giants anymore. Now they may have moved them inside more where I'm not used to looking. Because they used to be right near the entrances when you first
Right.
walked in, which is the greatest impulse place to get them. I know a few Walmarts have put them up toward the registers, but again, if you're not shopping, do you really want to walk the whole way through the store to get to the red box? Probably not.
The
I
red
get it
boxes,
I get it from a marketing aspect, but
the red boxes that were in the Walmart by me were the ones by the soda machines. Go
yeah,
in, get it, get a Coke, get a Coke, get a Pepsi,
yeah, and usually
and get
those
it
are
moving.
out by the entrances as you're coming in or leaving.
Right.
Yeah, they've moved some of them in like right near where the quick checks are, or where some of the other like the pharmacy registers and
Right.
stuff are. So like as you're walking out, it's right there. But I don't know. I haven't looked past those areas, so they might have just moved them further inside. But I haven't seen as many red boxes around, at least in my area.
And the downside is something that we covered before is that when you have streaming services like Netflix or like Disney or what have you that has their own content, like upcoming with Disney, Ahsoka's coming up as per this recording in a few days. Netflix has Stranger Things, and that's something outside of what we have planned to talk about. I want to get into that a little bit. They're not putting out hard copies for those shows, or that content.
That's another thing I'm going to cover here in a little bit because I was shocked to see something happen recently while I was looking through articles yesterday. So we'll put a thumb back into that.
But it's that aspect, it's like when you have that's just two examples. I'm not saying it's like when you have streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, or Paramount Plus, or Max saying, yeah, we have our own content, but we're not going to put it on DVD.
Right.
in essence, you are hurting folks that go to a library to rent videos, or a mom and pop shop that is renting videos. It allows them to get, watch Stranger Things, Ahsoka, or Mandalorian, or whatever or the iCarly reboot, in a way,
Right.
whatever you want to watch. And
But in the day, you know, it seems like a lot of these businesses are kind of severing their ties with physical media, which kind of blows. And as a result, since Netflix is ending DVD.com, they are basically, because a lot of people like me who love physical media, that way when I have it, I have it. I can watch it anytime I want. I just pull out the disc up until it gets disc rot. I have that movie for however long. Of course, I make archive copies. I keep spare hard drives and hold on to those movies. But the thing of it is basically, a lot of us people who love physical media have been chomping at the bit to get at this library, because a lot of us assume that when Netflix ends the DVD and Blu-ray service, that they were going to sell these outright to the public, liquidate the assets. Because I would hate for them to look up some of the prices of movies that I know that they have in their catalog that could bring some major money. They probably are going to wind up doing that. We're going to see a lot of eBay and Amazon sales that come from Netflix, which wouldn't shock me. But what the trip is if you're still a member of DVD.com, and no, you can't run in and try to sign up for it now. I've tried. But the thing of it is that if you're a member by the end of September, if there's anything still left in your queue, they're going to basically send anywhere from one disc, be it Blu-ray or DVD, or up to 10 from movies based on your queue that are available to you. So you'll get one last shipment of either 1 or 10 Blu-rays and DVDs, and you don't have to return them. They're just giving them to you.
I
And
guess it all depends on availability in regards to who gets what.
yeah, but even then, it's like that just seems kind of dirty. I mean, are they able to go in and load up their queue? Because they should be able to some degree. And that was one of the things I always had a problem with the DVD.com service when it was still Netflix. You never know how long in line you're waiting for a particular title. They did allow you to set up your queue and then first available, but I don't know how they're going to do this, because again, they're offering 1 to 10 discs. I mean, who's going to get the 1? Who's going to get the 10? And it just seems like a dumb way of handling it. Yeah, that's a great courtesy to the customers. But if you were renting 1 at a time, they used to do 5 at a time. That's why I quit doing Netflix, DVD, and Blu-ray, because the 5 at the time, even though it was a little bit more, I could get all 5, rip all 5, send all 5 back, and get another 5 within a week. And that way it increased my archive library so I can watch them whenever I wanted to. But the thing of it is they slowly reduced it down to 3 and then down to 2. And I think it's only like 1. And I mean, that kind of blows. It's like, why does it matter if I'm getting 1 or 5 DVDs at a time or Blu-rays at a time? Might as well just let them all have 5 and be done with it. But the service is ending, and this is what they're choosing to do. And everybody's just questioning how they're going to handle it. And Netflix is just like, we'll just send it out randomly. Good luck. May the odds ever be in your favor.
Makes me wish I still had that aspect of Netflix added to my account if I was still a member of Netflix. And that way it's like, hey, I have another chance of doing it this September, doing another unboxing. The mystery box from Netflix. Watch, it's only one DVD.
Yeah.
Knowing my dumb
Al
luck.
still has DVD.com, and he just has a bunch he hasn't watched or sent back yet. And I'm like, again, stop working all the time. But side rant. Um, but anyway, I'm curious what he'll get if he sends back those 4 or 5 discs he has floating around the house, or he'll just be told to keep those 4 or 5 discs. I guess we'll wait and see. We'll
I'd say
find out from Al officially.
get. I'd say personally he should hold on to them, and when September hits, see what emails he gets from DVD.com or Netflix, and consider, and for your end, my recommendation is that's a video idea right there. It's like, I know you don't do unboxings on your channel. It's like, but hey, the mail shaped thing in my life had these, and these particular DVDs sitting in the back, that you were supposed to send in from, to DVD.com. Let's see how many he got from DVD.com and just open it up. But do it as a short if you could do it under a minute.
But and it's not that I don't do unboxing. It's just the fact that if I did unboxings, I'd want to do a fail bag, which is like a mail bag. But given some of our commentators and some of the a-holes that we have to deal with, I'm kind of like, I don't want to even give them a PO box to send me anything, because God knows what they'll send. I did get this thing a long time ago from one of my fans. I don't think the camera here will do it much justice, or the lighting, but it's a glow in the dark Buddha Fett, and it was something that somebody 3D printed for me. Les Rob from the Angry Bros horror host. Les has since passed, so maybe I'll still do a review of that at some point. I just haven't been sure what exactly to say on that, because I really don't get along with the other brother very well, Lane. But they were both out of Kansas. They haven't done any videos, obviously, since Les's passing. But Les was always a card, always inappropriate with me. I love inappropriateness and joking around. And he was like, well, anytime you want to move to Kansas, you get tired of the bullshit, you got a hatchet man here. I'm like, anytime you want to come to PA, you got a hatchet woman here.
Yeah, but the thing is, maybe on your end, but on my end, there is like no interaction with any of folks. You have to interact. It helps the show. Even if I had the funds and set up to say, hey, if I had a PO box, no one. Heck, I have an Amazon wish list, and have I gotten anything off of it yet? No. It's like,
yeah, I have an Amazon wish list also, but I just don't know if I would be allowed to put it on YouTube or anywhere else with some of the things I have on there.
It's like, well, some of the things I have on mine, it's like, I haven't gotten anybody saying, hey, that stuff's too expensive. Can you find something cheaper? And I would probably put some cheaper stuff on it. But no one has no interactions, no nothing. So it's kind of hard to say that in regards to everything.
I don't know. My Rumble, for only being a one-day venture, is starting to pop off. I mean, I think I'm sitting at 12 views right now, maybe more.
I have to check mine. It's been a while since I touched my Rumble.
I've got to.
That came off more inappropriate than it sounded. That should have been.
I'm sorry, but they need to make a deal with Hasbro and actually put Rumble as part of their logo. I would subscribe more often, as I say, as I play with Slug here. Yes, he is a beefy boy.
He's a beefy boy.
Yep, beefy boy.
But I've got some news if you want to hear it.
Okay.
Speaking of Netflix.
Oh boy.
And because we kind of brought up Stranger Things.
Oh boy.
It came out about 5 days ago, so almost a week ago. Even though we're in the midst of a strike in regards to the Screen Actor Guilds and the Writers Union, Millie Bobby Brown, aka 11 herself, has come out to say that she's officially done with Stranger Things. So I looked over the article, and yeah, she's probably the only one that has great success with coming from Stranger Things, with her being in the Godzilla movies. Not to mention, she's done the spin-off of Sherlock Holmes, whatever it is.
Enola Holmes.
Enola Holmes. I'm not knocking her as an actress at all, or Enola Holmes. When I was on Netflix, I wanted to see it. I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but I'm not knocking the show. Her as an actress, Enola Holmes, or anything like that. She's tired of. I think the article pretty much says she's just tired of doing the property.
I also know Disney's courting her now too, because they want to get her, Aaron Kruger, from Solo, to be in Donald Glover's Calrissian spinoff show. And Donald Glover and his brother is going to be involved in solely writing it. So I can already guess who they're going to get Millie Bobby Brown to play.
But the thing is,
I mean, think about who she looks like. It's pretty damn easy to figure out who Millie Bobby Brown would be playing. And I'm like, yes, please.
But all in all, it doesn't say if she's coming back. Good chance she's coming back for season 5. But beyond that, she might be she might have the contract that she's locked into doing season 5. But beyond that, she's done. So they might be killing. Rumor has it, according to the article, that they might be killing her off, or one and done. But the thing is, not to mention the showrunners for Stranger Things said at season 5 it's pretty much done as it is.
There's a bunch of controversy with that show anyway, because there was a bunch of writers that had been behind the backgrounds suing. Was it the Duffer Brothers that put that out?
Yeah, I think that's who they are.
And so that's been ongoing too. So it's not like it's something without merit. And that's what I think is completely trippy.
And not to mention, past with the strike and all that happening, it's now been told, depending on who you talk to, it's season 5 is going to be filming or being put out in 2025, if not 2027. By then, they're not. Millie Bobby Brown and the rest of the cast, they're not kids right now. They're in their 20s right now.
Right.
So they're not going to look like kids anymore. Good chance they're not going to look like kids in 2027. Yeah. By that time, the show's been out for over 10 years.
Yep.
And
these kids are
none of these kids. I don't want to say kids, they're not kids. Youngins. None of these youngins are, look like Keanu Reeves when he was playing Ted. I think it's Ted
mm-hmm.
when he was in Bill and Ted. That he could pull off. But at least Keanu Reeves was able to pull off a 17 to 18-year-old when he was doing those movies.
Right.
Not someone who's going to be, at the time, 14, 15, 16 years old, and they're already tapping 30. Granted, Keanu, when he was doing Bill and Ted, was in his 30s, and he was still looking like he's 18, but Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves.
Right, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You can't run a show for too long.
Right.
And especially one that's focusing on young people if you're not recasting. And I know a lot of people poo-poo on recasting, but either you're gonna have to do time jumps or you're gonna have to recast. And that means you can't do set up a threat for the next season especially when you're going to have a gap of 3 or 4 years before the next one comes out.
And
And
not to mention, Stranger Things is not Rick and Morty. Um, Granted, Rick and Morty has its own
its own
controversy,
problems.
its own problem, but it's the best example because Rick and Morty had I won't say time jumps, but with the animation, it's all voice actors. Number one, number two, they could do things. Okay, this year, they could have that. I won't say time jump, but it could have that period of not being released of like a year, 2 years,
Well,
5
we'll
years
get into
between
that too
seasons.
here in a little bit
But
because I got
but
some
it's
news regarding a voice actor and their retirement and the fan outcry about it.
but it's a wonderful example though.
Yeah.
It's not something like Rick and Morty where things could you could have a 2 year break or a 3 year break between the two, or if something happens between seasons like a strike, you could take that time off. But this you haven't. You're dealing with kid. Granted, these actors and actresses have not a. They've already stopped. I won't say aging, but they stopped growing. They're and everything else. But you know, right now, I think the bulk outside of Millie Bobby Brown, no one's really hit that top level of success.
Right.
Maybe one or two.
And to me, sometimes you just gotta let it go, you know?
Right.
So one of the things that I said we put a pin in, because you brought up voice actors in Rick and Morty,